Okay, it's January 15th. I'm really looking forward to this. It's time to transplant my onions. In October, I planted candy onions. I had to order them because I couldn't find candy onion seeds anywhere. And if you've seen Webcajun's videos or mhpgardner, that's Donald and Bobby respectively, you've seen the great success they've had with candy onions. So I want to try to replicate what they did, and hopefully I'll have great success as well. If you're in the North Texas area and you haven't had any onion seeds planted and you want to get some sets, they're starting to become available now. North Haven Gardens had them down in Dallas. Puckett's and Allen has them. And you know, I think there's a couple more places that do have them. So it's just a lot of fun to go get you even your own onion sets. They're so cheap. You know, they're $2 for a big old bunch, or maybe even $1 for a bunch. And you know, you can get the Granex, which is a nice sweet onion as well. That's the Vidalia, but you can't call it Vidalia. Anyway, I will be showing you what I'm doing to my soil amendment. So if the ultimate result is success and we get really big candy onions, you'll see what I used for my soil amendments, and well, I'll be able to use it too for next year because I'll probably forget what I did. One thing I will not do is add sulfur. If you go on the websites, you know, all over the place, they talk about how sulfur adds pungency to an onion. It makes it hotter, so I won't be using any sulfur. I will be adding phosphate. Now, you've seen me use rock phosphate in my seedlings. They came out really well. I definitely use phosphate in my potatoes and my onions. It strengthens the root growth, and of course, you know, onions and potatoes, you know, they're all about the roots. And if you go to the Texas Aggie website, TAMU, just Google TAMU, onions and phosphate, you'll see all kinds of write-ups on how they did some trials, and they put about 3 inches down below the ground, put a band of phosphate. So that's what we'll be doing for our onions. And you know, I did that last year and I had pretty good results. So okay, I will be quiet now and we will get going. Bye. So I moved my drip irrigation off to the side and I dug some furrows. Now this looks deep, but remember, I'll be putting down the phosphate and also amending the soil with compost and, you know, that soil concoction thing that I make. So I will go ahead and show you what I'll be mixing together for my soil amendment. And here's our starting lineup. We've got, as I mentioned, rock phosphate, and you'll notice that middle number is your phosphorus number. The other additive I use, and I've used it religiously, is dry molasses. Dry molasses, if you notice, when you make your compost tea, you put liquid molasses in your compost tea, and that sugar feeds your microorganisms. Tell you what, I swear by this. I really have found this to really greatly improve my garden. It seems, and I don't know if I can totally prove that this attracts a lot of the good worms, but I'll tell you what, I get a lot of earthworms. My soil's really nice and healthy, and I think dry molasses really contributes to it. This is my compost. It's not sifted. I'm not going to sift this because since I'm blending it in with the soil, it's just going to add a little bit more texture to the soil. I have sifted compost. That's my little sifter I made with that screen. Oh, I don't know what you call it, hardware screen or whatever. And I do sift compost, and I used it for my seedlings, and you know, I'll use it for tea and everything. But I guess I'm a little lazy too. I don't feel like sifting this. This is the seaweed. Now, also, it's called kelp meal for other people who have seen it otherwise. I'm using Gardenville rocket fuel. I used a little bit of this last year and I really like it. It's a 261. Again, you're seeing that middle number 6. Rock phosphate. You can't overuse the rock phosphate from what I've read. Again, it's from what I've read because of the way it releases into the soil. So that's why I like the rock phosphate, but this has some phosphate, rock phosphate in there, and I found this to be pretty good stuff. And I forgot worm castings. How could I forget that? I always use worm castings, that's no problem. Okay, here is the amendment laid in. It looks like it's a lot. It's really not. I just kind of threw handfuls down the row. The rock phosphate's just very powdery, so I will take the compost, work it in, and then this is my soil. This is the soil from the bed that I'll kind of work back in and plant the onions. Mix that all in there nicely. Here are the onions. I think they came out pretty good. I mean, they don't look like Donald's. You know, his is, you know, just really nice, huge sets. Well, probably really like this one. But, you know what? This is still better than getting a dried one from the store, I think. You know, we'll see. Okay, I want to be real careful popping these up. I know I see my irrigations down there. I'll have to take it up. But let's go ahead and see what we have. Yeah, I know. I'm using gloves. That's pretty good. Can you see that okay? Yeah. It's pretty good. Like he said, like Donald said, the roots look so much better than what you get in the store. And I'll be chopping these off as well. Okay, I have to tell you, this was a lot of fun. I want to show you what I've got. These are the larger ones. I kind of divided it into 3 sets. The real small ones, kind of medium ones, and really when you get them in the store as sets, you know, you might see a set pretty much like that with some of these, and you might get a really nice sized one. But I know why Webcajun cuts the tops, because anytime you transplant, even in your landscaping, you know, you want to prune whatever it is that you're transplanting, because, you know, while you're getting a lot of roots, you're still leaving some behind, and that causes a little bit of stress on the poor little plant. So we will trim these down, and so the onion can rebound a lot faster. Separating these really isn't a problem, and you've probably seen on YouTube that you don't have to be too gentle with them. You know, I was careful. I, you know, try to minimize breaking as many roots as you need to. But anyway, I'm really excited about these. These are some pretty good sized transplants. In a way, I'm kind of glad that I've got some large, medium, and small, because it's almost like successive gardening. You know, these will get ripe first, theoretically, I think, and then these next, and then these next. So I have a lot of planting to do. I'm going to have to do some more furrows. Take this, mixing it all nice. Got the worm castings, everything in there. Trying to line it up so they're at least halfway decent rows. Then I'll go ahead and follow up after that and add a little bit more dirt and kind of there. One thing, plant them an inch down. I'm trying to give some decent spacing, anticipating that I'm going to have some really nice size onions. We'll see, I hope. Heck, if I can get them even that size or whatever, that'll be good. I know, I took my gloves off, and this is nasty, but I have to feel it on these. I don't know why. But anyway, so that's the way I'm planting them. And then I will be running the irrigation drip lines and putting pine bark mulch on the top. And it is done. I think there's 54. I'm not sure. So, but I was able to plant more than I thought. And I hope I can get a decent harvest out of these, you know. I'm hoping. All right, take care. Get to planting if you can. Bye.